Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. According to the General Hospital recap for Friday, May 2nd, Drew Cain's memory elevates Tracy Quartermaine to the top drugging suspect list. Carly Spencer also issued a warning to Nina Reeves. So here's how Friday's action played out. Carly was impressed by Nina's ability to bring Drew down, but Nina admitted there was a problem because Willow went with Drew to get a blood test. Carly received updates on Drew's ketamine levels, and believed Nina should have arranged for a medicine that would go through his bloodstream more quickly. Drew may now appear to be a victim, drawing Willow in closer. When Drew arrived at GH with Willow, Nurse Amy Driscoll discussed him with another staff member. Amy questioned Willow about whether she was going to stay with Drew, but Willow said it was none of Amy's business. When Isaiah Gannon brought Drew's blood test results, there was evidence of ketamine in his system. Willow, who still appeared overwhelmed, admitted she felt Drew had been drugged and agreed to meet him at home later. Willow kissed Drew on the cheek before leaving. Drew observed Mac Scorpio approaching and decided to stop him and report a crime. Mac learned about the ketamine and pondered about the last person Drew remembered seeing. Drew recalled sitting at a table with Tracy at the Port Charles Grill, albeit with fuzzy memories. Back with Carly, she pressed Nina to persuade Willow that Drew willingly used drugs and cheated on her. Carly had informed Willow that Michael Corinthos would never allow her to raise his children with Drew, so Nina's next move was critical. Nina was concerned about pushing too hard and making Willow suspicious. Willow walked through the door just as Carly and Nina were having a private talk. At the Quartermaine home, Lois Cerullo and Maxie Jones discussed Nurse's ball plans with Lucy Coe. Lois expressed her delight that Maxie was Brooke Lynn Quartermaine's companion after Lucy had left. Maxie appeared intrigued when Lois made a prediction about Brooke Lynn requiring extra assistance. Meanwhile, Brooke Lynn informed Tracy about what happened to Martin Gray, and how Lulu Spencer learned about the baby boy she had given up for adoption. Although Lulu felt the father should know the truth, Tracy did not believe Brooke Lynn should question her actions. Tracy did wonder if Brooke Lynn regretted her adoptive decision. Brooke Lynn discussed not being ready to be a mother as a teenager, noting that Lois was the only person she told, though she recently discovered that Lois had told Gloria Cerullo. Tracy wondered if Brooke Lynn would try to find her son, but Brooke Lynn said the only way they'd reconcile was if he came looking for her instead. Brooke Lynn was on edge when she chatted with Maxie, who was taken aback when Brooke Lynn pressed her to choose a side. Maxie considered both Lulu and Brooke Lynn to be her best friends, but Brooke Lynn believed Maxie needed to pick between the two as the disagreement escalated. When Lois saw Tracy alone later, she demanded to know where her great-grandson was. Despite Dante Falconeri's attempts to persuade her otherwise, Lulu refused to give up on creating the adoption story. Lulu continued insinuating that she knew more about Brooke Lynn than Dante, but he suspected something else was going on. Dante said that Lulu was still in love with him, but did not explain how he knew. Lulu couldn't dispute it and assumed Dante was still in love with Sam McCall, but he said he was still in love with Lulu as well. At the campfire, Danny Morgan persuaded Rocco Falconeri to buy some drinks to fit in with the college crowd. Rocco felt uneasy when some girls appeared, but Danny tried to help him flirt. Danny left to play glow-in-the-dark volleyball, while Rocco remained behind. Rocco passed out alone after drinking the drugged punch, and he was subsequently found spread out on the ground. Next, Vaughn returned from a swim and persuaded Emma Scorpio Drake to join him and Giovanni Gio Palmieri for a swim, so they stripped down to their underwear. Jocelyn Jacks removed the thumb drive from Emma's shorts, but she did not have time to replace the corrupted version before Emma completed swimming. That created a hiccup in Jocelyn's plans, so she chastised Vaughn for not keeping Emma entertained long enough and brainstormed ways to plant it on her. Jocelyn accidentally bumped into Danny, which startled him, but she advised they both be quiet and pretend they were never there. Danny was fine with it and took off, so Jocelyn told Vaughn that he would not be an issue. Emma later inquired about Jocelyn's conversation with Vaughn. According to General Hospital previews, Jocelyn will continue to find herself in difficult situations as a result of her WSB mission, so keep an eye out. According to General Hospital spoilers on Monday, May 5th, Willow Corinthos will question her decision to believe Drew Cain, while Danny Morgan is dealing with a Rocco Falconeri emergency. On Monday's GH episode, Lulu Spencer will express surprise at Dante Falconeri's confession. Dante stated that while he still loves Sam McCall, he still loves Lulu. Lulu will admit that was probably the last thing she expected Dante to say. Although Dante will not be ready to leap back into a reunion with Lulu, she may find enough hope to make a prediction that it will happen eventually. In the interim, Dante and Lulu may receive updates about Rocco's latest problem. Danny will come find Rocco on the beach now that he has passed out from the drugged punch. Danny will try to rouse up Rocco, but he may not be successful. Will Danny have to call for aid, exposing his college bonfire attendance in the process? Emma Scorpio Drake will be distraught over her misplaced thumb drive. Jocelyn Jax was unable to retrieve Emma's thumb drive from the pocket of her shorts before her return, but she may plant it nearby to make it appear as if Emma dropped it. Emma should be relieved that she found the thumb drive with her extra credit assignment for Professor Henry Hank Dalton, which could determine whether or not she gets the research assistant position. Jocelyn is hoping to harm Emma's chances, so let's see if the strategy she devised with Vaughn works. Brad Cooper will supposedly decide he's had enough of doing Portia Robinson's dirty work for little pay. Portia is allowing Brad to keep his job, but he will seek greater perks for the risks he is taking and will appear on Monday's show to collect them. Willow will question if she's an idiot for trusting Drew's version of the story. Willow believes Drew was drugged after discovering ketamine in his bloodstream. Willow, on the other hand, will basically ask Nina Reeves if she is being silly by allowing Drew to pull the wool over her eyes. Nina will be put in a difficult position, because she is responsible for Drew's embarrassing situation. Other General Hospital spoilers state that Drew will reassure Max Scorpio as he investigates who set him up. "As soon as I know, you will," Drew says Mac in Monday's preview video. Drew will most likely try to show Tracy Quartermaine is responsible, because she is the last person he remembers seeing before all of the Jacinda turmoil. Tracy will criticize Lois Cerullo over Brooke Lynn Quartermaine's adoption, accusing her of having selfish reasons in way she handled it. Lois will keep Tracy's great-grandson's identity a secret, because Tracy would be devastated if he discovered he was Giovanni Gio Palmieri. Carly Spencer will have an emotional conversation with someone, and give them important advice. "You're gonna regret it for the rest of your life," a heartbroken Carly says in Monday's preview clip. It appears that Carly will be in the boathouse when she issues this warning, thus it could be part of a lecture for Danny following the bonfire incident. It could be Carly's attempt to guide Danny away from underage drinking, and even worse consequences. Regardless, General Hospital spoilers indicate that Danny will end up in hot water sooner or later, so stay tuned for more dramatic developments. The complicated web of relationships and rivalries in Port Charles took another dramatic turn when Drew Kane's actions accidentally put Tracy Quartermaine at the heart of a bombshell accusation. She was the top suspect in a dangerous drugging scheme. The consequences from this disclosure shook the community, straining ties and shattering trust. Meanwhile, Carly Corinthos, ever the protecting force in her circle, sent a strong warning to Nina Reeves, indicating that their feud was far from finished. This latest incident exacerbated the existing breaches in Port Charles's social fabric, increasing concerns about loyalty, dishonesty, and the extent people will go to defend their own interests. Drew Kane, famed for his smart mind and unshakable tenacity, has been working tirelessly to unearth the truth behind the town's recent spate of unexplained drug crimes. His inquiry took him down a route full of unforeseen twists, and the evidence he discovered pointed uncomfortably to Tracy Quartermaine. Tracy, a tough and astute member of the Quartermaine dynasty, was no stranger to scandal, but being implicated in something as heinous as drugging was a serious accusation, even for her. Drew's findings had far-reaching ramifications, not just for Tracy's reputation, but also for the Quartermaine family's position in Port Charles. The Quartermaines had always been a formidable force, but scandal had a way of weakening even the most established dominance. Tracy was upset by the accusation. She'd spent years navigating the perilous waters of family politics and corporate machinations, but being labeled a criminal was too much. Her sharp tongue and quick wit were on full display as she categorically denied any connection and accused Drew of having ulterior purposes. Was this a genuine error on his part? Or was there something more deliberate behind his actions? Tracy was not one to take such charges lying down, and she made it known that she was prepared to fight back with everything she had. The Quartermaine matriarch had been through innumerable wars, and she was not ready to let this one damage her legacy. As word of Tracy's apparent participation circulated, sentiments in Port Charles varied. Given Tracy's history of deceptive conduct, some assumed the worst, while others found it difficult to fathom her taking such drastic measures. The Quartermain family, who were never known to show a united face in times of difficulty, found themselves divided. Some members supported Tracy, dismissing the claims as false, while others privately questioned if they were true. The internal strife simply fueled the flames, making it more difficult for Tracy to clear her name. Meanwhile, Carly Corinthos, who had a complicated history with Drew and Tracy, kept a watchful eye on the brewing drama. Carly had always been passionately protective of those she loved, and she wasn't going to let anyone, especially Nina Reeves, take advantage of the upheaval. Nina, whose turbulent relationship with Carly had been characterized by betrayal and hatred, found herself once more in Carly's crosshairs. Carly's warning to Nina was delivered with her characteristic ferocity and barely veiled contempt. She made it apparent that Nina was misguided in believing that the current instability would provide a chance for her to meddle or control. Nina, who had experienced fighting before, was not easily intimidated. Her own conflicts with Carly had toughened her, and she was not prepared to back down just because of a warning. Nonetheless, Carly's words had weight, and Nina knew better than to underestimate her. The anger between the two ladies had been smoldering for years, and this last confrontation only exacerbated their continuing feud. With so much on the line, personal vendettas, family legacies, and reputations, neither woman was willing to back down. As the crisis worsened, everyone wondered what would happen next. Will Drew's evidence stand up to scrutiny, or will Tracy deconstruct his case and prove her innocence? And with Carly and Nina embroiled in their own private conflict, how much collateral damage could their rivalry cause? Port Charles had always been a place where secrets thrived and loyalties were tested, but the latest crisis appeared to be pushing everyone to their breaking point. The stakes had never been greater, and the impact from Drew's inquiry and Carly's warning promised to reshape relationships in unexpected ways. In a place where trust was scarce and betrayal was never far away, the only certainty was that nothing would ever be the same again. Willow asks if she is an idiot for believing Drew. Willow sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her phone screen with her fingers lingering over the keyboard. Drew's message glared back at her. Another explanation and vague assurance that things would improve. She'd heard it all before. Apologies, pledges that this time would be different, but she still fell for it. She let out a deep sigh as she flung her phone onto the mattress, her mind racing with worry. Am I an idiot for believing him? The question nagged at her, unwilling to let go. She had placed her trust in Drew numerous times, only to be disappointed each time. Each time, she convinced herself that maybe this was the time he'd finally follow through. That maybe this was the time he'd show her that her faith in him was justified. However, she was well aware of the trend. She remembered the first time Drew had disappointed her. It had been something minor, a missed date, a forgotten promise, but she had brushed it aside. Everyone makes mistakes, she assured herself. But tiny disappointments grew into larger ones, forgotten intentions became broken promises, and apologies became meaningless words. And yet she remained. Willow's pals cautioned her. He's not going to change, they'd stated. You deserve better. She knew they were correct, but something kept dragging her back. Perhaps it was the way Drew looked at her when he said he meant it this time. Perhaps it was the recollections of the good times, the laughter, the late-night discussions, the rare occasions when he came through. It was difficult for her to walk away after seeing glimpses of the person she imagined him to be. But now, sitting alone in her room, she felt the weight of her own frustration. How many chances was too many? How many times might she be disappointed before accepting the truth? She took up her phone again and began going through their texts. Every "I'm sorry" and "I'll do better" blend together. Had she been naive? Was she just deceiving herself into thinking things would ever change? The hardest thing was the shame that accompanied it. She knew better. She wasn't a gullible person who believed every lie she heard. She had always prided herself on being intelligent, independent, and capable of seeing through other people's BS. Jocelyn Jacks planned to ruin Emma Scorpio Drake, while Willow Corinthos agreed to Drew Kane's plot. Tracy Quartermain was likewise rendered speechless by BLQ, So here's how the Jitch action unfolded. Willow let Drew into Nina Reeves' house, but she wasn't interested in his justifications. Drew stated he couldn't recall what happened last night, and pretended his actions didn't sound like something he would do. Nina brought up the video footage and sought to keep Willow's attention on her fury. Willow lamented the possibility of losing her children as a result of Drew's actions, and stated that Michael Corinthos had no interest in her. Willow predicted that Michael would go after the kids since she felt he wouldn't see her based on what she was told in Germany. Drew's scandal just made matters worse, but he attempted to persuade Willow that there had to be another explanation. Drew insisted on a blood test, and Willow agreed to accompany him in order to learn the truth. Nina was concerned as Willow and Drew went for the hospital. Emma worked on her data model for Professor Henry Hank Dalton's class at JH, while also spoke with Jocelyn about the campfire tonight. After kissing Kai Taylor and sending him to surgery, Trina Robinson sought assistance from Jocelyn and Emma in getting rid of the documentary filmmaker for a while. Emma finalized her data model and saved it to a thumb drive, then talked about backing it up to a hard drive later and putting it in her pocket. Jocelyn approached Vaughn with her idea to steal the thumb drive, make a copy, corrupt Emma's information, and smuggle it back into her pocket, all without Emma knowing. Vaughn agreed to aid Jocelyn in sabotaging Emma, her primary competitor for the research assistant position. When Dante Falconeri discovered that Rocco Falconeri and Danny Morgan had caused a mess at the Courtemain boathouse, he made the lads go clean it up. That allowed Danny to put pressure on Rocco to join him at the campus bonfire celebration. Danny eventually persuaded Rocco to accept the proposal. Harrison Chase stormed over to Lulu Spencer's house after learning of the latest details on her adoption. Chase asked his buddy for assistance in encouraging Lulu to back off Brooklyn Courtemain because Dante was the only one present. Chase protested about Lulu pursuing this adoption story as he was preparing to adopt a kid with Brooklyn, but Dante appeared to think Chase was exaggerating. Besides, nobody could truly tell Lulu what to do. Lulu explained her adoption revelation in Laura Collins' office. Because not everyone was aware of the truth, Lulu felt compelled to reveal it. Laura put the brakes on Lulu since she'd be playing God with other people's lives, and would have to deal with the consequences of what happened after she blabbed. While Dante sought Lulu's assistance with the current Brooklyn drama, Laura kept Trina company at the hospital while she waited for news on Kai's surgery. Tracy approached Brooklyn at the Courtemain house about her ongoing dispute with Lulu, and she couldn't understand why her granddaughter felt threatened. BLQ ultimately revealed that Lulu knew she was pregnant as a teen, and had given the kid up for adoption. Tracy stood there wide-eyed and stunned for the first time after Brooklyn yelled about Lulu keeping that knowledge from her. General Hospital spoilers predict additional mysteries will be revealed in the following weeks, so stay tuned. General Hospital spoilers for Friday, May 2nd suggest that Drew Kane will receive blood test results while some alcoholic bonfire drama unfolds. Carly Spencer will also confront Nina Reeves with evidence, so this is what spectators may expect. For starts, Lulu Spencer will question Dante Falconeri about why Brooklyn Courtemain's feelings are more important than hers. Dante will be sorry if he has made Lulu feel that way, so they will have an emotional chat, which may end with Lulu admitting that she still loves him. Brooklyn recently told Tracy Courtemain about her adolescent pregnancy and secret adoption. Tracy will wonder if Brooklyn regrets her decision to give up the baby, so she will ask her to express her thoughts. Lois Chirulo will next talk to Maxie Jones, and admit that she believes Brooklyn will benefit from having a buddy like her. Maxie may suspect that Lois is hiding information, and wonder what is going on. Lois will eventually find herself backed into a terrible situation. Now that Brooklyn has revealed the buried adoption, Tracy is likely to approach Lois about it. Back with Maxie, she'll face an ultimatum on Friday's episode, so it sounds like she'll be in a tough place of her own. Meanwhile, Danny Morgan will continue to push Rocco Falconeri down the wrong path. Danny has encouraged Rocco to attend the campus bonfire, so they will go to the beach and reportedly drink there. Danny will think this is how they blend in and will encourage Rocco to drink as well, but they may both find up in serious trouble by the end of the night. Emma Scorpio Drake will joke about not being terrified of Giovanni Gio Palmieri, while they spend time around the bonfire. This will allow Emma to unwind after working so hard on her data model for Professor Henry Hank Dalton's class. Jocelyn Jacks, on the other hand, will use this campfire as part of her goal to undermine Emma. Now that she has joined forces with Vaughn, Jocelyn has predicted that the competition would be derailed, so she will cooperate with Vaughn to take Emma's thumb drive and contaminate it. Over with Carly, she will face Nina with security footage proving her culpability and demand a confession. Nina may eventually disclose her Jacinda plan and the lengths she went to keep Drew out of Willow Corinthos' life. Willow has consented to accompany Drew to GH for a blood test, which could jeopardize the scheme. Isaiah Gannon will ultimately deliver the results, so will there be ketamine in Drew's system? That probably depends on if Portia Robinson can convince Brad Cooper to change the results before Drew receives them. Finally, Max Scorpio will learn about some illicit activity. Will that include Drew's suspicions of being targeted? Or will it be about some bonfire drama instead? According to General Hospital spoilers, the bonfire could erupt into anarchy, so we'll keep you updated on all the crazy events coming soon. The tension in Port Charles had reached a boiling point, with secrets simmering under the surface, ready to burst at any time. Among the most startling disclosures was Brooke Lynn Quartermain's unintentional admission about a baby truth, which caused shockwaves across her family and the entire town. Meanwhile, Jocelyn Jacks, caught up in her own web of envy and bitterness, devised a plan to undermine Emma Drake, exacerbating their already tumultuous relationships. Brooke Lynn had always been outspoken, but she hadn't planned to divulge such a life-changing secret. It occurred amid a furious dispute at the Quartermain mansion, as tempers rose and words flew unrestrainedly. When the topic of family loyalty arose, Brooke Lynn let out a previously kept secret, one involving a kid, concealed paternity, and a web of deceit capable of destroying families. The room became silent as the weight of her words hit home. Eyes opened, cheeks paled, and the air became dense with anxiety. Someone's life was about to alter forever, and there was no turning back what had been uttered. The fallout was immediate. Family members turned against one another, accusations flew, and trust was gone in an instant. Some sought explanations while others withdrew, wanting time to comprehend the news. Brooke Lynn was overwhelmed with guilt as she realized the severity of her error, but it was too late. The truth had been revealed, and there was no way to put it back in the box. The repercussions spread swiftly, affecting not only the Quartermains but also their adversaries, allies, and innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. Meanwhile, Jocelyn Jacks was dealing with her own personal problems. For months she had seen Emma Drake masterfully seduce everyone around her, especially those Jocelyn cared about the most. Whether it was friendships, sexual interests, or professional chances, Emma always seemed to win, and Jocelyn had reached her limit. What began as petty jealousy had grown into something deeper, prompting Jocelyn to take action. She began slowly undermining Emma by spreading rumors, sowing doubts, and manipulating events to make Emma appear unreliable or untrustworthy. At first, it was minor issues. A missed message here, a missing paper elsewhere. However, Jocelyn's techniques quickly became more daring. She intercepted emails, distorted conversations, and even devised scenarios to make Emma fail publicly. The more Jocelyn got away with it, the more addicted she became to the feeling of control over the story. However, sabotage is a hazardous game, and Jocelyn quickly found herself in over her head. One of her ideas backfired dramatically, directing suspicion toward her rather than Emma. People began to question her intentions, and the very ties she had worked so hard to protect appeared to be jeopardized. Worse, Emma, ever sensitive, began piecing together the contradictions, thinking that someone was actively working against her. The closer Emma got to the truth, the more desperate Jocelyn became, prompting her to make reckless decisions that only led her into deeper difficulty. The two storylines, Brooke Lynn's unintentional disclosure and Jocelyn's premeditated sabotage, interacted in unanticipated ways, causing a chain reaction of disaster. Secrets tend to surface at the most inconvenient times, and lies once started are nearly impossible to stop. The residents of Port Charles were left reeling, forced to confront truths they were unable to face and betrayals they had not anticipated. As the dust settled, the true question remained: could these broken relationships ever be repaired? Or had the harm been too severe? Only time would tell whether forgiveness was possible, or if some wounds were simply too deep to repair. The tension in Port Charles had reached a fever pitch, and the latest disclosures threatened to break the fragile calm that had barely held the town together. Drew's blood test results had finally arrived, and the ramifications were far more combustible than anyone could have imagined. The secret he had been keeping so closely was now out in the open, and the consequences were likely to be felt throughout the community. The truth had a habit of surfacing at the worst conceivable times, and this was no exception. Drew had dreaded this moment for weeks. Since the accident, or rather the episode that had left him wondering everything, he had understood that his blood tests may indicate more than simply his physical state. There were drugs in his system that shouldn't have been there, clues to a night he couldn't recall. The bonfire party began as a celebration, a rare moment of friendliness among friends, but swiftly devolved into pandemonium. The alcohol had flowed easily, inhibitions had evaporated, and irreversible decisions had been taken. There was no escaping the proof, which was right there in black and white. Carly had the idea for the bonfire. She had hoped to bring everyone together, to ease the lingering resentments and unsaid grudges that had been simmering for months. But Carly had a habit of stirring the pot even when she intended to do the opposite. The combination of too much alcohol, unresolved anger, and the flickering flames of the fire had produced a dangerous situation. Secrets had leaked, charges had been leveled, and by the end of the night, alliances had moved in ways no one could have anticipated. Drew had been at the heart of it all, even though he hadn't planned to be. He had merely wanted to keep the peace, to mediate before things became out of control. But the cocktails kept pouring, and his recollection faded with each passing hour. He remembered a few details: raised words, shattered glass, and someone storming off into the night, but the rest was a blur. When he awoke the next morning with a pounding headache and a sense of dread, he realized something had gone horribly wrong. The blood test results verified his greatest worries. The test analysis revealed traces of a sedative in his system, which shouldn't have been there. Drew had not accepted anything, at least not willingly. That left just one option. Someone had snuck it into his drink. But who? And why? The questions gnawed at him, but before he could absorb them, Carly had obtained the report. And Carly was never one to withhold information, especially if it touched someone she cared about, or someone she wanted to bring down. Carly had been skeptical of Nina for some months. The two women were embroiled in a nasty fight, swapping insults and manipulations like chess pieces in a high-stakes game. Carly was convinced that Nina was responsible for half of the upheaval in Port Charles, and she had been waiting for the ideal moment to confront her. Drew's blood test results were finally in, and she had the proof she needed. She stormed into Nina's office without knocking, her eyes filled with righteous rage. Nina looked up, surprised, but immediately recovered, her signature smirk sliding into place. "Carly," she said calmly, "why did I receive this surprise visit?" Carly didn't bother with politeness. She slammed the lab results onto Nina's desk. "Can you explain this?" Nina looked at the paper, her expression unreadable. "I have no idea what this is supposed to be." "Don't play dumb," Carly yelled. "Drew's blood test revealed that he was poisoned the night of the bonfire. And we both know you were present." Nina's grin remained constant, but there was a spark of fear in her eyes. "Guilt?" Carly couldn't be certain. "That's a serious accusation," Nina stated calmly. "Do you have any proof that I was involved in this?" "You've been trying to destroy Drew for months," Carly responded. "You have been controlling everyone around you, tugging threads like a puppet master. Did you truly believe you could get away with it forever?" Nina slumped back in her chair, pretending indifference. "If you're going to accuse me of something, you should have more than just a piece of paper with some numbers on it. Otherwise, this is again another of your bogus attacks." Carly's hands tightened into fists. She expected Nina to deny it, but the sheer audacity of her calm demeanor increased her rage. "This isn't over," she growled. "I will prove you did it. And when I do, everyone will recognize you for who you truly are." Nina's smile became chilly. "Go ahead and try. But take care, Carly. You are playing a dangerous game."